we explained the rise of the Assyrian Empire. Much like the Hittites, the Assyrians started as a regional power that would eventually use iron and military efficiency to conquer a huge swath of territory, a territory that would include Mesopotamia, Egypt, and the Hittites' home empire in Anatolia. Their beginnings appear rooted in the decline of the Hittites, as some sources say that the Hittites taught the Assyrians the craft of ironwork, as well as their military tactics. These Hittite ideas allowed the Assyrians to begin stripping away territory from the Hittites, then eventually end their empire completely at the Battle of Nerea in 1245 BC. Historians have much more information on the Assyrians as they gathered cuneiform tablets in library. It seems that the Assyrian Roots are as a nomadic group who entered Mesopotamia sometime around 2500 BC BCE. They established a city-state called Ashur in current-day Iraq that was named for their god. This gives us some indications that the Assyrians may have been monotheistic, which may have led to an easy transition to their later faith as Christians. The Assyrians were humble in the face of their god, and they called themselves governors of God, rather than calling themselves kings. Later rulers would not be so humble and call themselves king of the universe. Historians have found 3 periods for the Assyrians, starting with the Old Period. In this old period, Assyrians spent much of their time getting attacked and then absorbed and then winning their freedom, only to be attacked again and again. They grew rich from opening up trade with the major trading port of Kanesh, and that made them an attractive target to rulers looking for additional resources. The Amorite tribe, who became the Babylonians, led by Hammurabi, was quick to take over Assyria in their expansion, which eventually would be set free into a 30-year civil war after Hammurabi's death. King Adasi would take over and then began pushing for the Assyrians to not be pushed around anymore. It was the Middle Empire years when the Assyrians would join the Hittites in capturing the Mitanni and then use those iron-making skills to turn on the Hittites, completing the conquest under King Adad-nirali. It was at this point that the Assyrians began a period that's well documented because the Assyrians kept constant records. It's through these writings that we find out about the Assyrian deportation policy. The Assyrians worried about living in a constant state of rebellion, so they made sure to preserve temples and culture, and then ship survivors of a victory to far-off towns to fill roles in the empire, like scribes in urban centers. Families were also never separated. Through these conquests, the Assyrians absorbed writing, art, religion, and embraced math and science, and also pushed for a regional language. By the third phase, known as the Neo-Assyrian Age, they'd perfected an efficient and unstoppable war machine that was filled with iron weapons, chariots, siege towers, and sappers with flammable objects used to burn city gates. Assyrian archers were widely feared throughout Mesopotamia. Kings like Ashurbanipal and Sennacherib locked down Jerusalem, Babylon, and Egypt, while at the same time investing in scientific studies. Ashurbanipal built a massive library at the new capital at Nineveh.